All right. So, Chrono Odyssey has released a dev note. And after this, we're going to look at the Twitter posts that they've posted and see what brings us up to date on the Twitter posts. All right. We are super hyped about Chrono Odyssey. We're very excited to hear what this is the first ever developer interview. I'm really hoping my big thing here, guys, please large scale PvP. Please large scale PvP. Action combat MMO, probably no pay to win. And really engaging story. I don't care about the story as much, but like PvP systems. I'm very hyped up about this game.
저는 크로노 오디세이 개발 총괄 PD.
Oh, okay, so we'll move up so that you guys can see the
윤상태라고 합니다.
My name is Sangtae.
My name is Don, and I'm one of the product managers working on.
So, one of the people working on the game is Sangtae, the other one is Don. Diverse. Wasn't expecting that. We'll take it.
Chrono Odyssey.
Hi, Don.
저희는 크로노 오디세이의 제작을 시작하면서
Okay, I'm gonna read it to you guys. When we began developing Chrono Odyssey, our goal was to okay, I'm gonna have to turn it down. When we began developing Chrono Odyssey, our goal was to make overall progression just as enjoyable as end-game content. In BDO, the progression content is the end-game content. Screw us, right? Ugh. Oh my Giga Chat! Holy! Oh my gosh, she looked like a child. I gotta go. Okay, so the character creator looks pretty good. Rather than focusing solely on competitive aspects, we wanted players to explore seamlessly without loading screens. Whether or not they're wandering, oh my god. Whether or not they're wandering in the woods, cutting trees, fishing, or teaming up against powerful monsters. This degree of limitless adventure is unique to MMORPGs, and we wanted to bring the same spirit to Chrono Odyssey. Okay. Oh my... Did you guys see the penis on that? The world of Chrono Odyssey isn't your typical fantasy setting. It's an eerie, imposing world that evokes a sense of dread and wonder. We drew inspiration from the cosmic horror vibes of Prometheus, as well as instilling a palpable fear of encroaching threat to humanity, similar to Zerg in StarCraft. Cinema, I'm so in! Yes, bro. StarCraft mentioned Pog. For those of you that don't know, StarCraft 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Still Master League, even in Legacy of the Void. It's the first game I really played competitively when Wings came out. Really great. One of the biggest StarCraft fans, man. Super dedicated. We brought these elements together to shape our own distinct universe. The story of Chrono Odyssey unfolds in Saterra, a realm where past and futures collide. If you guys want to know any of that lore, I read through the entire wiki in one of my other videos on the channel. So just, you can check that out. Here, the very laws of reality come undone as gods, humans, and unknown entities known as the Void come to the heed. In the absence of divine order, the boundaries between dimensions collapse, giving rise to war and invasions. The vast scale of chaos and despair sets Chrono Odyssey apart from traditional MMORPGs. As for the protagonist, you'll stand against formidable foes and even traverse past and future... and even traverse past and future to alter the fate of Saterra. It goes beyond simply defeating powerful monsters. Our goal was to immerse players in an epic narrative where they must confront foes far beyond their comprehension. Chrono Trigger is a game that left a very lasting impression on me. I was fascinated by the concept of using time to prevent a cataclysmic event. That made me wonder, could I bring the concept of space-time into an MMORPG? We thought long and hard on whether or not we could bring this to life. This would come from the foundation of Chrono Odyssey's world building, rooted in the themes of cosmic horror and space-time. Many believed incorporating space-time manipulation in MMORPGs was impossible, but we brought it to life through a system called the Chronotector. It's bold. Introducing Chrono Odyssey. Okay. I was expecting a different intro there. I want to make it clear that we didn't develop Chrono Odyssey just to showcase our technology. We chose Unreal Engine 5 to bring the chaotic world of Seterra to life as we'd imagined it.
이질적인 차원으로부터 침공당한 상황을 구현하기 위해서였습니다. 그래서
That's why we don't feel the need to highlight the engine itself. What mattered most was enabling players to fully experience the world we had envisioned. We wanted to create an environment where players feel, perhaps without even realizing, that they're under the influence of peculiar forces, struggling to prevail in a ruined world. Interesting. The core of Chrono Odyssey is the blend of reality and unreality, the familiar and the unfamiliar. Structures like the Chrono Gates may appear man-made, but they're not. Okay, so I already know most of this stuff. I'm just reading it to you guys. I'll be honest, I am skeptical about how all of this is supposed to work in PvP. Like you know, manipulating time and stuff might be hard. They're designed to evoke a sense of intimidation, even from afar. We portrayed natural environments such as forests, lakes, and mountain ranges as realistic as possible to further enhance players' engagement and immersion. I think even the gameplay of the game looks kind of Dark Souls-y. So they've got like this dark, deep fantasy going on with like the space and stuff, and it feels kind of Dark Souls-y with like the dodge rolls and stuff, but you've got a lot more magic going on in there as well. When's the beta? It's supposed to be this month sometime, probably at the end of the month. However, scattered throughout Seterra are massive, otherworldly entities that defy logic and comprehension. Seterra's atmosphere goes beyond just exploration and natural wonders. Invading across dimensions, the void wield power no ordinary human can resist. It's a realm where unfathomable beings loom in sight. It's like the Upside Down. Their presence lingers throughout the land, spreading their presence. By blending realism with the surreal, we created a world where order collapses and terror takes hold, far beyond what humanity can withstand. Yeah, it feels like the Upside Down, kind of. In, gosh, what's that show called? What sets Chrono Odyssey apart? Exploration and adventures. We wanted players to create their own stories through the adventures and exploration they choose.
플레이어가 스스로 선택한 탐험과 모험을 통해 자신만의
What sets Chrono Odyssey apart? Common sense. Okay, let's not get overly hyped, all right? The MMO community has a tendency to get overly hyped for new MMOs. We like feed on it. It's crazy. Okay, so like, let's not pretend that they listen. We don't know yet whether the devs listen or what systems that they have actually gotten right. I have still yet to see gameplay or have him talk about systems that I really super care about. Right now, it's really cool. He's describing the atmosphere of the game and how cool that is. And yes, that's something new that people have never done before. And I'm excited about that. But I really want to know what the systems of the game look like and what that gameplay is going to look like as far as bringing us together as a player base. MMORPGs are set apart by their ability to pull players together and force them to interact with each other in end-game content or various aspects of content. But people also don't want to constantly be forced to interact with each other either. So it's kind of a delicate balance that you have to strike, right? You don't want to go as far as like BDO does on solo content. They've basically destroyed their end-game PvP systems, so there's no reason to come together as players. For the most part, BDO is basically just an RPG game where you run around in an open world, but you don't really ever are forced to interact with players for any reason. And yeah, it's fun to play by yourself for the majority of the time. It can be fun to just relax and play the game at your own pace. We do not want daily or weekly gated content. That is not super fun. You want to be able to play the game as much or as little as you want and still feel like you're progressing. It's a traditional Korean MMO. That's what we want. But again, you look over at Throne and Liberty, they almost push too far the other way. They've got a lot of systems that you basically have to interact with players all the time. They've got a lot of gated content as well. But again, you get to play a lot with other players. So like somewhere in the middle is where I'd like to see Chrono Odyssey come out, where like, yeah, you can play the game a lot by yourself, but you also have a lot of end game options, whether it be PvP or PvE, like raids and dungeons and things like this, to come together and play with people and encourage people to interact with each other, make friends, or just, you know, play with other players. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to see. Things that we don't see in BDO, things that we don't see in Throne, things that we don't see necessarily even in Guild Wars 2. Although I think of the three I've mentioned, Guild Wars 2 probably does the best job of having solo content paired with group content that you can look at. But that's why Guild Wars 2 has been wildly successful over the years. Even if you look at the Steam numbers, oh, it's not that much. There's very few people in the MMO community that have not at least tried Guild Wars 2 and are able to say, yeah, that game is fantastic and has great systems.
이야기를 만들어가기를 원했습니다.
Traditional MMORPGs often rely on a fixed main questline, forcing most players to follow the same path. True, but we don't care. We took a different approach so that players can enjoy the joy of discovery on their own terms. Okay. Interesting. With the Chrono Tector, players can trace remnants of the past to catch glimpses of the future. While investigating ruins, they can manipulate them to reveal hidden paths and reconstruct past moments to discover entirely new routes. This sounds really interesting, and I love Easter eggs in MMORPGs. That's why I loved Destiny 2 for like Forsaken, and a couple of their expansions were absolutely fantastic. I know Destiny 2 kicked W, but Destiny 2 did a great job of having Easter eggs in the game, like Whisper of the Worm, that were really, really cool and encouraged players to interact with the world in a unique way that rewarded them for doing so. And it was really, really cool. Like, I love those aspects of games. I love to see that. BDO also did this really well when it first released as well. Very, very, very cool way to like get people to interact with the world and discover things, because, you know, not all of the knowledge is given to you at the start. So it's good that they're at least considering something like this. I think that's an overall W. What I'm afraid that this means is, oh, well, yeah, you can choose to go different paths on the storyline, but ultimately all of the stories converge to the same point. You guys see what I mean? So although the Chrono Tector can be, oh yeah, you can unlock it in different orders, ultimately you always arrive at the exact same point regardless. And like, basically that takes away the whole point of exploring. You know what I mean? Or maybe you're forced to go back and explore anyway. That's what I'm concerned that they mean by that, but I hope not. I hope not. Yeah, okay, we already read this. Okay. Rather than simply completing quests, players will witness the world's changes and uncover pieces of an epic narrative. Aside from the main questline, players can enjoy a variety of content, including trials, labyrinths, and field bosses. Okay, those sound awful solo player oriented. Okay, sure. Most in-game activities grant experience points, allowing players to reach max level through gathering and crafting alone. There's gathering and crafting in the game confirmed. Again, I'm looking for systems, guys. I am here watching this dev note. Look, I love the fact that they've spent this much time on the atmosphere. It really puts you in the world and like fleshing out the world. That's extremely important in an MMORPG. But I want to know what you can do. Is this going to feel like a sandbox? You know what I mean? It looks more like an RPG than an MMO. No, that's what I'm afraid of. We'll see. You could make the same case for BDO in some respects. You're just not forced to play with each other in a lot of cases. It feels more like an RPG where other players kind of like, I don't want it to feel like Grand Theft Auto 5. That's what I don't want it to feel like. I want to be able to go through and do raids like you can in Guild Wars 2 or in Final Fantasy. I want to be able to, or World of Warcraft, right? I want to be able to do large-scale PvP like you can in Throne and Liberty or Black Desert Online or Guild Wars 2 again, right? I want to be able to ride around on mounts and stuff. So like that's interesting too. But like, again, I am a little concerned about the systems of the game, but it's interesting to know. It's good to know that gathering and crafting are in the game. That at least, again, that's a step beyond some of the other MMOs that we see, like Throne does not have like gathering. There's like primitive gathering, but honestly, we don't know. Is that threat is gathering and crafting? How fleshed out is that? Are we looking at like Valhalla? Or are we looking at like BDO? We don't know yet. Or are we looking at RuneScape, right? You never know. Traditional MMORPGs haven't always been friendly to players who prefer non-combat activities. But in Chrono Odyssey, we built a system where players progress through exploration and crafting while still benefit from trading, sharing information with combat-oriented players. Okay, so let's look at this gameplay. This is the first time we're actually seeing... This looks like a new world right here. That's not what I want to see. I'll be honest with you. Let's take a look at this one more time.
생활 콘텐츠 유저들이 다소 소외되는 경우가 많았습니다. 하지만 크로노 오디세이에서는 탐험과 제작만으로도 충분히 강해질 수 있도록 했고.
Okay, so it looks like you can interact with a lot of the aspects of the world. You saw somebody chopping on a tree a moment ago, so I assume that you can interact with that tree. Maybe not all the ferns maybe are not interactable, but like maybe that yellow one is. Like how much of the world can you actually gather off of? Is that mushroom gatherable? Is the fern gatherable? Is this little rock gatherable? Or is it just this big rock? Right? Like that's what I want to know. So like when I look at these, also is this fruit gatherable? I guess you can grab that too, right? So like it does look like it's a little bit more fleshed out than I was like a little bit nervous about at the start, but yeah.
이들이 전투 유저들과 거래나 정보 공유 등을 통해 서로 이득을 볼 수 있는 구조로 만들고 있습니다.
Okay. Let's take a look at this menu. This is definitely an Unreal 5 menu. It reminds me of New World. But in Chrono Odyssey, we built a system where players can progress through exploration and crafting while still benefiting and trading and sharing information with combat-oriented players. I already read this. There was a rapier, a crossbow, and a bow. Right there. You had 3 weapons. Wait, do you guys see that? That character had 3 weapons on. That character is wearing 3 weapons. Bounty level is 0. Okay, so now we know. Okay, now we know that there's a bounty level. This very likely has. This is very likely the karma system that is in like BDO, right? So like there's that. That also tells you like beyond a shadow of a doubt if there's large scale or if there's open world PvP for sure. I know that we had been alluding to it in the past, but showing like the bounty level there means that like when you kill players unfairly in the open world, that goes up, and then other players can get gold for killing you. So there's definitely open world PvP at least. We're seeing Ranger World Release. I guess that's like the server, not in a guild, title none. So there are titles in the game as well. You might expect that, but yeah. Players can choose their own playstyle and progress in a way that suits them. All right, that sounds like a good sandbox MMO. Sure, you could do that. You could say the same thing about BDO. It still has really solid, or well, used to have really solid PvP systems. We've also minimized in-game guidance to encourage curiosity and let players discover the world themselves. I think that's really good. BDO did that when it came out. And again, I was talking about that sense of discovery before. We saw that in Destiny as well. And I think somebody else in chat gave forth another example where you're rewarded for trying to dive in and like investigate things, discovering alchemy recipes, discovering cooking recipes, experimenting with the world, gathering on things. It makes everything you interact with. You don't know the value, guys, of when you mine something and you get like, I don't know, tough iron. You're like, oh, how much is that worth? I don't know. You have to figure it out, right? And there's a sense of discovery there that you kind of see in a game like Tarkov. I know that that's out of our genre a little bit, but like Escape from Tarkov kind of had the same thing when it came out. You just didn't know necessarily what everything was used for. So you had all players hoarding all this stuff. You didn't know like what exactly was good and what was bad. You were still figuring everything out. That helps players engage with the world and like really engage with your game on a level that I think that is just, it's far and above your competitors. So it's good that they're talking about things like this. Many MMORPGs tend to force players into fixed roles, such as tank, healer, and DPS, each with its own skill builds and gear requirements. Oh, Chrono Odyssey breaks away from the traditional model to encourage players to progress however they wish. So definitely more of a Black Desert Online approach where there's no tank, healer, DPS. That's big knowledge. That is big knowledge right there. That means that, again, you're not just cowtailed into doing one role. Ooh. And you'll notice again, the combat and stuff, it doesn't, I think that MMORPGs can be super successful without the Holy Trinity. And again, BDO's PvP is the best, or it was the best until they ruined the systems. But again, it absolutely works without the Holy Trinity. You can absolutely have things, as long as you don't have terrorists in the game, like Shy. No shies. Don't bring shies into this.
식으로 성장.
The Holy Trinity just encourages teamwork. Believe it or not, I was more encouraged to do teamwork and have strategy in a game like Black Desert than I am in Throne and Liberty. Yes, there's teamwork in Throne and Liberty, but believe it or not, when you boil your role down to just being a healer or just being a tank, the combat seems a lot more primitive and a lot more straightforward. There's so much dynamic to what Elan, for example, can bring to a node war. You can take out people off of a high ground that are like doing high ground damage to the rest of the guild, right? You can pick people off like there. You can get very unique engages flying in from off screen. You can handle cannons that are up on high grounds from far away as well. It makes you an excellent cannoneer and getting into places where you maybe never thought of before. And Lan does not fill a traditional role necessarily. Neither does any class in BDO. And you could say this again, you could make this case for any class in BDO. They all have their unique play, like because their kits are all very unique and their skills are unique and their weapons are unique. It all makes an extremely dynamic, large-scale PvP experience, which people find engaging and fun. At least they used to. And again, it's the same thing for any action MMORPG. Okay. We wanted every battle in Chrono Odyssey to be meaningful. Okay. We implemented parry and dodge mechanics to ensure outcomes aren't decided by stats alone. Again, it's like Dark Souls. Additionally, the system is designed to let every player contribute in their own way, offering more flexibility in combat. Rather than sticking to conventional MMORPGs, content like large-scale siege battles or arena-style PvP, we've aimed to deliver a more unique experience through a distinct PvEVP system. Not like this. Not like this. Every single time I've seen PvEVP, it sounds like such a great idea. No, not Throne Flashback. Throne is not a good example. A good example would be Gambit in Destiny 2. That was a complete failure. Any Destiny player will tell you it's a complete failure. It's fun for a little while, but basically a complete failure. You look at War of the Roses and Black Desert Online, another good example. Complete failure. Okay, like basically, right? They've had to rework it like 9 times, still can't get it right. It is fun, but like again, it's just not the same. You look at Throne and Liberty. Yes, you have the golems interacting in PvP, but that's more of like a siege weapon, right? It's not like PvEVP. You're not like fighting a boss. Although the good example in Throne would be a conflict boss. Like the old conflict bosses, where like the good ones, right? Obviously, like you could take the new ones too, where there's like a PvE objective, but 2 guilds are fighting each other over it. If that's what they mean by PvEVP, it could absolutely work. Fighting as a competition for resources, as guilds over a competition for resources in the open world. For example, you're trying to lock down a field boss. Technically, that's PvEVP content, right? Where you're trying to protect the field boss, keep other people from getting loot, and try to keep your guild on top. That's technically PvEVP content, which can be fun for at least the guild that's preventing the content from everybody else. But like, it's very difficult to balance, and I think it drives a lot of people away from the game. I've never seen a PvEVP system be particularly successful in any game, mainly because, again, you always end up with the people that are really upset that they can't engage with the content.
Let's see what we got. Vex on the field.
Yeah, all right. That's right, baby. My Destiny homies know. So I'm skeptical. It's not that they can't make a PvEVP system correctly, but it's going to be really hard. And then they're saying, rather than sticking to conventional MMORPGs like large-scale siege battles or arena-style PvP, this implies, guys, that there is no large-scale battles and there is no arena-style PvP. That's cooked. If that, like, that's, I'm not saying that's necessarily what it means, but it kind of implies that, like, there's no systems in the game that are like that. And that's cooked. That doesn't mean there's no large-scale PvP or anything, but, like, I don't know. People want to be competitive. People like arena-style PvP, where you go, like, as a 3v3 against the enemy, like, team, right? Like, people want to be matched up in a 3v3 to see mano-y-mano, alpha v alpha, who is the better player. That's what people want. That's why arena-style PvP is usually successful. Not necessarily by everyone, but again, it's meant to be kind of a sandbox MMO because they're taking a sandbox approach. It's very appealing to the most competitive members in your community, right? Large-scale siege battles are appealing to a lot more people, to be clear. A lot of people find large-scale PvP much more approachable than arena-style PvP battles, mainly because, let's be honest, most of us are terrible at video games. We're all like 30, 40, 50 years old at this point. We're old age, okay? We don't want to have to like sweat and deal with like the 18-year-old Zoomer that just got finished playing in Fortnite earlier tonight and is like sniping like pixels like 300 million units away. Large scale PvP takes away from like the onus constantly being on you. It makes you feel like even as like a bad player, it makes you feel like you're contributing to something greater than yourself. And you get to play with all of your friends. You don't have to be the best player in the world, but you can play alongside some of the best players in the world and still have a meaningful impact in a really epic, like medieval fantasy style battle where you've got a commander and everyone's fighting with each other and the victory feels so sweet at the end. That aspect of MMOs is super important. People like to fantasize about being soldiers in a really big army, right? That's just how it is. But hopefully they did not completely rule this out because that's going to be really depressing. Unlike other MMORPGs, Chrono Odyssey is built for smaller scale play. It could still have large scale PvP. It could still work. It could still have it. It could still do it. It could still have it. It could still have it. It's the game. It's gonna kill Throne. It's gonna kill BDO. It's gonna be so good. Oh God, please.
소규모 인원이 함께 즐길 수 있는 게임입니다.
Players start out either solo or with a small group, gradually expanding their party over time to like 100 players.
Is this gonna be an Ion 2 route? Lol.
We'll watch that next. Breaking away from traditional MMORPGs, players set out either solo or with a small group. Okay, right. Even at max level, the game encourages players to stick with a 5-man party, emphasizing the vision on shared exploration and collective adventure. Cooked. So this is New World Aeternum then. Because New World Aeternum, for the most part, is kind of just like a PvE RPG game where you can party up with like 5 or 6 other people and go do stuff from time to time. So this is like New World Aeternum in this approach. Now, I want to be clear, even New World has large-scale PvP, and it's actually not half bad. It's just the combat's total ass. What makes me excited about Chrono Odyssey is that the combat actually looks pretty good. Like, arguably, again, I don't think it's like Lost Ark. I don't think it's like Black Desert. But I do think that it is...
$1.99 just resubscribed for 4 months.
Potentially third best in the genre. The BDO killer, all right. Nothing can kill BDO aside from its own developers. Just like Throne of Liberty, just like World of Warcraft, just like any MMO or game. Doobie99, welcome back for 4 months, buddy. Appreciate you. Thanks so much, man. Focus he's getting across is they don't want it to be PvP focused game. They aren't saying that there isn't content on a larger scale. You'll see some content moving forwards. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'll see. I'll see. But the way he's saying is that he's like, bro, we don't want to do large scale. So we don't want to do large scale. And again, that's what PvPers want. They want large scale PvP. They want to be able to team up with their guild and do open world GVGs. Now, to be clear, again, we can make, if there's open world PvP, we can make large scale PvP. You know what I mean? Like, we can do this, bro. We'll do 80v80 in the open world. We're all in our own parties. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, I don't know. Let's see what he has to say. At first, we planned to clearly do separate roles like other MMORPGs. But as development progressed, we realized the need for hybrid classes. That's how we made classes like the Assassin and the Ranger. These are DPS. We introduced a variety of weapons that move beyond the fixed role classes and support more flexible and varied playstyles. Okay. Above it all, it was important to ensure that healers and tanks wouldn't struggle when playing solo. Smart. To that end, we designed healers to be able to progress independently. As long as you didn't make them little children, or little people in general, I'm probably going to be okay with that. An MMORPG doesn't mean that players should always be in a party. True, and that's what I was trying to say before. A good MMORPG is going to have elements where you can play on your own and enjoy the game, and then elements where you want to go party up and play with other players.
RPG라고 해서 반드시 파티를 꾸려야 하는 건 아닙니다. 성장 과정도
Our goal is to let players progress and battle as they see
경험할
fit.
수 있게 하는 게 우리의
Okay.
목표였습니다. 크로노 오디세이의
Combat in Chrono Odyssey revolves around a weapon
단순한
swap system in lieu of
무기
skill
수업을
chaining.
활용할 깊이 있는
What?
전투 시스템을 지향합니다. 기존
Unlike traditional MMORPGs that rely on a single weapon,
전투 방식과는 달리 두 개의 무기를
Chrono Odyssey encourages player to switch between two weapons strategically during combat.
처음에는 무기 수합이
Initially, we were concerned the system might feel too complex or overwhelming,
하지만 자연스럽게
but we believed that it would add more meaningful depth to combat if players more naturally come to understand its value. Okay, when you swap weapons, okay, honest suggestion. When you swap weapons, you need to have intros like this. And I'm not saying it needs to be a gotcha, but whenever you swap weapons, it would certainly help if it did some cool cinematic thing and like,
If there's one thing I know about Wuthering
bam, you know what I mean? And like, and like did the thing and then showed all the numbers and shit. Look, I understand like gotcha games don't have everything right, but as long as we're going to do this whole switch weapon thing, it's extremely satisfying to switch characters in a gotcha party and see their like intro animation. That feels really good. It'd be cool to see that in this, but maybe it cuts too much. I don't know. Just a suggestion. That's exactly why we're introducing the elite boss early in the game, so players who use a single weapon will struggle due to skill cooldowns. Through this experience, players can naturally grasp the importance of weapon swapping. Based on this philosophy of easy to learn, hard to master, we designed Chrono Odyssey's combat system to be accessible for everyone. Skill animations don't seem super great. They seem okay, but they're like okay. The deeper players go, the more they'll cover tactical depth. We believe weapon swapping will remain essential even in the end game. It seemed like you one-shot that thing. Weapon swapping isn't just about switching gears, it's also about Grant's passive buffs, letting you swap your setup in real time during combat. Since each weapon features a distinct style, your playstyle can change dramatically depending on which combination you choose. We didn't want combat to rely heavily on skill numbers or HUD elements. Instead, we wanted to emphasize creating your own attack patterns and using techniques against enemies so that combat feels fun and engaging. No combat numbers, that's what that means, guys. No combat numbers, no add-ons, basically. Rather than creating too many skills, we designed each one to have multiple functions. Situational skill usage will prove crucial in the heat of battle. Chrono Odyssey's combat and weapon swap systems are simple at their core, but carry much depth. When players switch their weapons, the flow battleships, giving them the freedom to shape their own playstyle. Again, I look at this. Let's look at the combat real quick here. He like swings, dodges like it's Dark Souls. Looked really smooth. That looked pretty smooth too. That looked pretty good. He's not really swapping weapons, so maybe not the best example. That looked pretty solid though. Didn't look like there was a whole lot of frame loss and stuff there. Core gameplay features. Okay, here we go. Everybody lock in. Okay, everybody. Oh, I'm stressed out. When developing Chrono Odyssey, our philosophy around combat and adventure was core to how we built the game's content. For the CBT, combat is divided into two main types, single player and party-based content. Okay, so I'm going to move over here, guys. All right, I'm trying to stay out of the way. Okay, single player content, chrono gates and trials, party-based content, expedition dungeons, and region bosses. I'm going to be honest, hot take, region bosses kind of suck. World bosses never work properly. They always lag, and ultimately they end up just being damage sponges. Nobody needs to worry about doing mechanics. They're just a giant loot pinata. Everybody hits, and I don't know. It's just not like, I don't know. I've never really liked world bosses all that much. Expedition dungeons seem like they're pretty good. I would rather do raids, in my opinion. Like, because devs suck at designing them. That is true. It's possible. I'd rather them just come in a raid, though. You know what I mean? Okay. Single player content requires players to rely on skill and strategy. What if my skill and strategy is I have a lot of money and I have a foot pedal with a working steering wheel?
이 콘텐츠의 핵심은
These experiences are meant to push players, making them grow stronger by facing challenges head on.
성장하는 과정에 있습니다. 대표적으로
Chrono Gates are a good example.
해당합니다. 강력한
In one-on-one battles
파도와의
against
1대1
powerful Void
전투에서
Apostles, players must
플레이어는
read
상대의
enemy
패턴을
patterns and
파악하고
respond strategically.
전략적으로 대응해야 합니다. 이 과정에서
Each encounter will hone their skills and strengthen their character. This feels kind of like Dark Souls. Again, it feels like a Dark Souls-esque kind of thing. Even the health bar looks Dark Souls-y.
높아지도록 설계되었습니다. 난이도는 높지만
The difficulty is high, but so is the sense of achievement and value in the rewards.
특별한 보상이 그만큼 크게 와닿을 것입니다. 또 다른 도전
Trials are another single-player experience designed to offer more than just combat. Players will travel across time and space facing puzzles, traps, and random mechanics, creating a new player experience with every run. Skeptical. Usually that stuff is done with AI. I hope that it feels different and new every single time. By the way, you've been watching this video for like 15 minutes. Can you please put a like on the video? It means a lot. Thanks so much, guys. I have a lot of Chrono Odyssey content on the channel, okay? We're following this crap like crazy. We're following this crazy. Please no jumping puzzles. Well, honestly, you're just worn out about jumping puzzles because you play Destiny 2. That's why you're tired of jumping puzzles. That's just the way that it goes. Roguelike mode, I don't know. I'm concerned about this trials thing. I've been told that trials in the past are like, oh my god, everything is all different, and then every single one feels like the same thing with different enemies. Please don't tell me the trials are basically all just reskinned versions of each other with different enemies and feel repetitive to play. That's what I'm concerned about. I don't want trials to be strikes. I don't want trials to be repetitive dungeons in Throne. I don't want trials to just be like, I don't know, really boring after the first like week or two. Parkour challenges. I don't mind parkour challenges. Those are interesting. But when everything is a jumping puzzle, like we have in BDO, the dev's definition of a puzzle sometimes is just jumping puzzles. Destiny was the same way. I don't get it. It's obnoxious. Some jumping puzzles are fine. Players will travel across time and space. Oh no, I already said that. Along the way, players will not only refine their combat skills, but also test their creativity and decision making. We designed party-based content to emphasize teamwork and strategic coordination. I'm just like the problem is the teamwork and strategic coordination only works if you don't already all know the mechanics and stuff. Otherwise, it just becomes so automated you don't even need to be in voice with one another to actually interact. And so like that's why each of these encounters needs to be like super unique. Like the dungeons need to be kind of unique so that like you're forcing players to interact with one another and talk and like coordinate and whatnot. Because otherwise, it just becomes automated content that like nobody really cares about. Expedition dungeons are a good example, designed for 3-player parties where each player takes on their own unique role, making teamwork essential. Warlock got the Cran Eater double jump though, let's be honest. True, glue sniffing double jump.
예로 3인 권장 파티로 구성되며 각자 다른 역할을 맡아 협력하는 것이 중요합니다.
As a Warlock player can confirm. Unlike large-scale raids found in traditional MMORPGs, Chrono Odyssey offers a more focused co-op experience that delivers tactical gameplay even with a small group. See, this is another thing that tells me that there's no scale in the game. There's like large-scale PvP, not a thing. Large-scale like guild raids like you see in World of Warcraft or Guild Wars 2 or even in Final Fantasy. This tells me like that's not a thing. We're going to do more of the New World Aeternum approach where we're going to do like the small scale stuff. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean it's not going to be in the game, but I'll be honest with you, the way that he's talking, not promising. I really want to play an MMO actively that has like raids and stuff. I'm going to have to play Guild Wars 2. I'm doing a full Guild Wars 2 playthrough. I actually really like that game after the tournament's over. Even when the tournament's going, I'm going to be doing full Guild Wars 2 just going in. It has raids though? I don't know. He hasn't said anything about raids yet. He just said that unlike traditional raids, Chrono Odyssey offers co-op experience with small groups. So to me, that does not look like it has raids. Region bosses present challenges on a much larger scale. Snoozer, don't care. Guardians, the protectors of State Terror, require players to work together. Multiple parties must coordinate to combine. Okay, he's talking like they just. Multiple parties must coordinate and combine their strength to prevail.
이 보스를
Those who
터치하면
overcome the
얻을 수
challenge will
있는
earn unique
고유
equipment linked to the game's
에러티브
lore,
장비는
not
유저의
only
성장뿐
strengthening their
아니라
characters, but also
게임의
revealing more
세계관을
about the
더
world itself. Yeah, so is it a world boss, or is it like is your guild killing this boss? Is it specifically your guild? Like the thing spawns in and your guild can see it and everybody comes out and kills this and everybody has to work together? Because that would be kind of an interesting dynamic. But if it's just a world boss that anybody can come out to, it's just going to be like a damage sponge. You know what I mean? Like that's the problem. That's what I'm concerned about. And that's what I'm kind of seeing here as I look at like the video.
맞서 싸우는 콘텐츠입니다. 이 보스를 터치하면 얻을 수 있는
Alright, it could still work. I'm not trying to like hate on it or anything, but now I'm like, oh boy, I'm shaky.
에러티브 장비는 유저의
It's
성장
only a 3-man boss? Well, that's not true. Look at the left side of your screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they just talked about how multiple parties will be doable for region bosses. Okay. Those who overcome the challenge will earn unique equipment linked in the game's lore, not only strengthening their characters, but also revealing more about the world itself.
뿐 아니라 게임의 세계관을 더 깊이 이해할 수 있는 열쇠가 됩니다. 이 두 가지
Both
전투
solo and
콘텐츠의
party content serve a clear
방향성은
purpose.
이렇게 설계된 전투
They're not just to help you
콘텐츠는
progress.
단순한 성장 수단이 아닌 유저가 직접
They're designed to give players a focused goal in gameplay, something to really feel and accomplish while playing. That's good.
1인용 도전
I'm hoping that they did those field bosses or those region bosses, as they call them. I'm hoping they did them right, where you have to do the mechanic, you have to coordinate with other parties. That could be fun, you know. But if it's just like a normal world boss where hundreds or thousands of players are there, it's just going to be a damage sponge. Nobody's going to care. Single player content, skill and strategy. Party-based content, teamwork and coordination. Okay, sure. Solo challenges are all about the skill and strategy. Okay, yeah.
콘텐츠에서는
Teamwork
개인의 실력과 전략적
focuses on playing your role
사고가
effectively.
요구되며
All right.
파티형 콘텐츠에서는 팀워크와 역할의 분담이 중요해집니다. 유저들은
In Chrono Odyssey, players can choose the combat style that fits their playstyle, allowing them to experience the game in a way that feels uniquely their own.
시스템을 즐길 수 있습니다. 탐험과 콘텐츠는
Exploration is divided into two types of content, player-driven and goal-oriented. Wait a minute. Exploration and adventure, players-driven content, labyrinths and time portals. Goal-oriented content, bounty hunting. Tell me more. Tell me more.
콘텐츠로 나뉩니다.
Player-driven content tells me that, like, player-driven content means that the players are interacting with each other to drive the content, right? Like that, theoretically, right? Do keep in mind this is what the upcoming closed beta test is doing. Not everything that they have for the game, 99% of what he is talking about is focused on CBT, only so as to not give away too much about the full game's content. Again, so I'm going to go back to the earlier statement. The MMORPG community has a tendency to be way too copium, like oriented. This guy is a developer, like the primary developer on the game, is my understanding. I believe sincerely that his vision for the game reflects the content in the game. So when somebody like this tells me that large-scale raids, they're trying to get away from large-scale raids and make it more like a co-op-driven content in the game, I'm just going to assume that that is what we are going to see reflected in the game experience. I'm not just going to be like, well, there still could be raids in the game. No, I am just going to go ahead and assume he's thrown raids out the window in favor of, again, you can have multiple parties coordinating with each other in those bosses, right? But it's not going to feel like, again, Final Fantasy or Guild Wars or even World of Warcraft in that regard, or even Lost Ark in that regard. But Lost Ark's raids, again, are smaller scale. So it does still have, it has potential, right? Lost Ark doesn't necessarily have crazy big raids like that. It has like amazing like raids, but like it's smaller scale, a lot like he's describing here. So it could still be fantastic. I'm just trying to dispel the idea for you that you're going to be able to go in with your guild and kill a giant boss, you know, and work your way through a raid, right? That's just not how it works. Player-driven content allows players to freely explore the open world of Saterra at their own pace. Our goal was to encourage players to explore discovering hidden lore and carving out their own path. Along the way, your journey naturally ties into character growth, making exploration feel more personal and immersive. Labyrinths are a prime example. Okay, let's hear about this. These twisted rifts in time and space are filled with puzzles and moments of discovery. We designed labyrinths to offer a break from the intense combat, giving players a chance to enjoy the thrill of exploration.
최초 클리어 시에는
A special treasure awaits at the end of the labyrinth, along with the possibility of uncovering more secrets. Okay, this sounds like a strike in Destiny.
발견될 가능성이 열려 있습니다. 또한 타임
On the other hand, time portals let players step into the past where they can gather rare materials and items tied to an overarching story.
특정 시간대에만 존재하는
Alright.
희귀한 채집물이나 스토리 조각을 발견할 수 있고 이를 통해 크로노 오디세이
These moments are not
세계관에
only a
더
reward
몰입할 수
exploration, but also
현상
deep
수배는
immersion by revealing more of the world's lore.
이를 통해 크로노 오디세이
Okay.
세계관에 더욱 몰입할 수 있습니다. 현상 수배는
Bounty hunting
탐험과
blends
목표
open world
지향형
exploration with
콘텐츠가
goal-oriented
결합된
gameplay,
형태로
giving players a clear sense of direction.
오픈월드에서 유저가 해야 할 명확한 목적지를 제공합니다. 이 콘텐츠는
We designed bounty hunting so players can freely explore while having a goal to guide them through Seterra's vast open world. Okay, so I was wrong. Bounty hunting seems to be a PvE thing. Yeah, very PvE, hunting a bounty thing. I thought it meant hunting other players. That's usually what bounty hunting means. It seems what he's describing to me sounds a lot more like PvE. You're trying to chase after doing your adventure logs. That's what that sounds like to me. Doesn't mean there's not open world PvP, but again, this is not good news.
방향성을 잃지 않도록 설계되었습니다.
I mean, bounty, it could be cool, right? I'm not trying to like undersell, but like I think that like he's explaining what the game is, and he's tempering expectations. He's telling you there's not going to be large scale guild raids. He's telling you it's basically going to be dungeons, and the raids will be like 5 or 6 man content or whatever, five man content typically at most. Focusing on that co-op doesn't mean the raids can't be good, like in Lost Ark. Just means that you're not going to get Final Fantasy out of it, right? He's also telling you large scale PvP sieges, not a thing. Okay, not happening. Okay, they're gonna, and also arenas 3v3s, small scale like that, not gonna work. At best, you'll get 5v5, right, or 10v10, or something like that, right? You might get something like that, like something like Guild League and BDO, which could still be fun, but we'll see. And again, it doesn't mean that there's not more systems, but I do think that the way he's explaining it, guys, if there was large-scale PvP in the game, he wouldn't be saying, yeah, we're trying not to do large-scale PvP. If there was like large-scale raids in the game, he wouldn't be saying, yeah, we're focusing on like smaller-scale co-op modes. Like that's not the way he would present it if that simply was the case. He's just being honest, and like I understand that. I get it. It's a little disappointing on my end. Doesn't mean I'm not going to play the game. It is just like, okay, well, the PvP systems might not be as great as maybe we want them to be, but hey, they still could be. Who knows? During the hunt, players will naturally come across new areas and gain opportunities to discover secrets. Again, this is the bounty hunting stuff.
숨겨진 비밀을 발견할 기회를 얻게 됩니다.
Bounty hunting isn't just about eliminating threats.
사냥에 그치지 않습니다.
We were hoping that it would be. It places players in the role of the peacekeeper, removing threats and restoring calm to Seterra.
세계의 안정을 가져오는 역할을 맡게 되고 그 과정에서
that purpose adds more meaning to the experience, making bounty hunters feel more immersive.
몰입할 수 있는 경험을 하실 것이라 생각하였습니다.
For character progression, we took a different approach.
전통적인 방식을 벗어나 플레이어가 선택한
Players can develop their character freely based on the path they choose.
설계되었습니다. 그 중심에는
At the heart of the system is crafting and enhancements. Okay, combat, boss battles and dungeons, crafting and gathering. Okay, interesting. Using life skills, player can gather rare materials and craft high-tier equipment that directly impacts their character's strength. I don't know. Based on what I've seen from the systems, I haven't heard anything about really alchemy or hunting or fishing yet necessarily, but he did mention life skilling here. We've seen gathering at least a little bit. Not sure how fleshed out that is. Crafting is it's a pretty standard component of most MMOs. Basically, every MMO has crafting, so no surprise there.
과정을 통해 희귀한 재료를 얻을수록 높은 등급의 장비를 제작할 수 있고 이 과정에서
progression will feel more hands-on and rewarding as a result
직접
of
성장의
crafting,
결과물을
basically.
만들어내는 성취감을 제공하도록 하였습니다.
Okay.
강화 시스템의 전투,
Enhancements are powered by
탐험,
materials earned through various
채집 등
activities like
다양한
combat,
활동을
exploration,
통해
and gathering.
강화 재료를 얻을 수 있어
With so many ways to
플레이어의
obtain these
다양한
materials,
플레이
players can
스타일에
progress their
맞춘
character
성장이
according to their playstyle. Let's take a look at that enhancement window again.
재료를 얻을 수 탐험
Okay, is there a percentage anywhere on the screen? Does anyone see a percentage? Stagger boost, incoming damage reduction, attack, Strength and wisdom. Destroyer damage boost, so it just tells you what's going up. No enhancement effect. I don't see a percentage. Master Sword equipment score 25 to 26. I don't see anything that gives a percentage here. Maybe they don't show the percentage. Maybe they don't show a percentage. According to their playstyle, cool, so what if I just want a PvP? I'll be honest with you. I think that a lot... People talk about how there's like the PvP player base for MMOs is not very big. But I think that those people are just wrong. I actually think that there's actually a large portion of the player base, even in World of Warcraft, that has explored PvP, like Horde versus Alliance, for example. And some of their fondest memories are typically like killing the other faction, right? Like, so even in like a PvE focused MMO, people still do like to do PvP and get together and fight with each other. It's a fantasy that we all have. Throne of Liberty, Black Desert Online, Guild Wars 2, even in ESO, things like this. People love this stuff. And I think that developers kind of ignore this because, you know, a lot of people are like, we want PvE. But at the core level, I do think, especially in a sandbox, you need a lot of aspects of PvP to really draw in a lot of players in the MMO space, because like, what's all of this gear really worth grinding for if you're not going to use it to kill somebody else at some point? You know what I mean? Like at some point, you're like, yo, let's go kill some Alliance members. You know, like these people, right? Like that's just how it is, right? You're right, Blue, but PvP just always sucks. I don't know, man. People like Asmongold fundamentally disagree with me on this issue. Asmon always says, oh God, nobody likes PvP in MMOs. Nobody cares, blah, blah, blah. And I just don't think that that's the case. I think there's a lot of people that really do. There's a lot of people that enjoy PvP in MMOs. They don't necessarily want it forced on them, but to try PvP and to do PvP with their guild and stuff is a fantasy that they expect to have available to them in a sandbox MMO. Okay, no, you don't necessarily want it to be forced on people all the time. That I get. But like to be able to go play with your guild and fight as a soldier in a battle, lots of players want this. Even 50-year-old men, 18-year-old kids, like they all of these people and everything in between, they like that fantasy. Like it's just the way that it goes. You know, Asmon is just as bald, so they just as bald as you, so you cancel each other out. Okay, fair enough. All right, I don't see any percentage on the enhancement here, guys. So, Copium, there's no RNG to enhancing? Cope?
채집 등
Just kidding. There's definitely going to be RNG.
다양한 활동을 통해 강화 재료를 얻을 수 있어 플레이어의 다양한 플레이
So many ways to obtain these materials. Players can progress their characters according to their playstyle. We've also reduced the risk tied to enhancements. There it is! Oh my God, bro. I nailed that assessment. See, I'm pretty good at this. This job, okay? I'm pretty good at this. At telling what that guy is saying and what he's showing on the screen and telling what they actually mean. I'm pretty much spot on with this, bro. That should tell you how close I am on my assessment here. And I'm sorry to disappoint a lot of people. It's disappointing to me too. But I think that I've got this pegged. So even with progression slows, there will be another way to grow stronger. Now, he didn't say that there's not any RNG in enhancing. There's still going to be RNG in enhancing, almost guaranteed. That's how you get the gameplay loop extended artificially. But I think that, again, he said that they've toned it down significantly.
성장이 막힐 때 새로운 성장의 기회를 경험할 수 있습니다. 이 두
The crafting and enhancement systems are deeply connected.
전투 중심
Players who focus on combat and
던전
Dude, what the fuck? That was on the screen for like 2 seconds.
서로 긴밀히 연결되어 있습니다. 전투 중심
Players who focus on combat can gather materials through boss fights and dungeons. Okay, we've already seen this too.
플레이어는
And meanwhile, those who prefer non-combat route will still reach the highest level purely through crafting and gathering. Sure, that's a good thing, I guess. The problem is, let's be honest, guys, most of your MMO experience comes after you've already reached highest level. Okay, so don't really care how I have to get there at the end of the day.
강한 캐릭터로 성장할 수 있습니다.
In the end game, progression is shaped by player choice, offering more freedom and a deeper, more enjoyable experience. That's good. Lots of options, like Throne does that really well. A lot of build options. That's really good. Chrono Odyssey's roadmap. Okay, so this is good. The upcoming closed beta test will feature a first public test of Chrono Odyssey. Our goal isn't to prevent a perfectly polished version, but to gather feedback from players and continue to improve the game. Yeah, that I would understand. But please understand that by the time it reaches CBT, guys, it's a closed beta test. But by the time it's reached the beta test, They're not really interested in like, oh yeah, we're going to overhaul all of the game's systems. No, they're like fixing bugs, minor things. Like, hey, we think crafting would be a little bit better. Hey, this quality of life update would be good, right? Testing that. That's the kind of feedback that I believe that they're looking for at this stage. Versus Ashes of Never Being Created is in like Alpha 9 at this point. They're constantly asking you, please tell us more ways that we can constantly change the game so we never have to release it. Very different.
더욱 발전시키려는 과정입니다.
One of the core elements we're focusing on during this CBT
Welcome back, Don. One of them, okay.
period is improving the multiplayer experience. An MMORPG should be all about playing together. And
Not all about playing together, but somewhat about playing together. Look, the brutal truth is we are all, at least a lot of us, are antisocial, introverted, degenerates on the internet. So we want to see really hot grills, and sometimes we want to interact with people, but we don't want to do that all the time. We want to be able to solo play a decent amount of time too. Okay, it is what it is.
we want to make sure that's reflected in Chrono Odyssey. We'll be working on content density to make the world feel
I actually started reading this like out loud, like intensely, and then I realized that he is already speaking English, so I don't have to read it anymore. Thank you, Don.
alive, and continuing our efforts to make exploration more immersive and ensure there's a strong sense of discovery as you journey throughout the world.
Yeah,
In
that's
Chrono
great.
Odyssey, there's
Yeah,
no
that's
right
good.
or wrong way to progress. Whether you enjoy crafting, gathering, exploring, questing, or simply engaging in combat, the game is designed to reward you for playing your way.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think the BDO player base is going to love this game. I think that it doesn't hit Throne and Liberty as hard. Throne and Liberty's player base is very much so focused on large-scale PvP elements and things like this. Like the scale of the game is just constantly bringing a lot of players together, right? BDO, they want that sandbox. They want you to be able to progress doing anything, crafting, gathering, exploring, questing, exploring the world, all of that stuff. That's things that BDO players love at a core level. The thing that it is missing is potentially PvP, but you know, hey, it could still have it. But this looks like basically BDO without the PvP elements, which is nowadays just BDO.
저희는 크로노 오디세이라는
The
세계를
MMO genre is an
선사하는 데
ideal
있어
fit to portray the world of Chrono Odyssey.
가장 이상적이라고 생각하였습니다. 그렇기 때문에
To build a living, dynamic world, we're planning to introduce new regions and create content centered around themes of time and space.
독창적인 콘텐츠들을 확장해 나갈 계획입니다. 시공간의 여행을
Instead of relying on
일반적으로
traditional
떠올렸을 때
portals for time
생각되는
travel,
포탈을 통한
we're planning on a
시간
system
이동이
where
아니라
players can move
미래와
between
현재를
different timelines
실시간으로
seamlessly.
넘나들며
Timelines?
퀘스트를 진행하는 방식을 연구하고 있습니다. 또한
We're
기존
also aiming
MMORPG처럼
to move away from the usual structure where you clear one area and move to the next.
유저의 행동에 따라
Instead, the world evolves when the player with player
새로운
actions,
탐험 요소가
with new
자연스럽게
areas
해동되는
unlocking as you
구조를
explore
만들려고
further.
합니다.
Ashes of Never Being Created is in complete fucking shambles right now, guys. That's one of the big selling points for their game. And Chrono Odyssey is going to beat them to it. There it is. With Chrono Odyssey, our goal isn't to keep adding systems without due cause.
우리는 크로노 오디세이를 단순히 시스템적으로 확장하는 게임이 아닌 유저가 직접
We want players to shape the world through their own actions and feel truly immersed in the process. Sounds good.
Chrono
Odyssey isn't a game we plan to launch and leave behind.
끝나는 게임으로 만들고 싶지 않았습니다. 게임을
What matters to us is creating a game that grows and evolves alongside its players.
게임을 만드는 것이었습니다. CBT에 참여하는
To everyone joining the
유저분들께
upcoming
한 가지
CBT,
부탁드리고 싶은
there's
게
one thing
있습니다.
we'd like to say.
퀘스트만 따라가지 마세요.
Don't just follow the quest line. Chrono Odyssey isn't just moving
from one
from...
objective to the next in a straight line.
Thank you, Don.
We want you to embrace the spirit of exploration, share your discoveries with the community, and find your own way through this vast, mysterious world.
1차 CBT에서 여러분이
Our
경험하게 될 내용은
closed beta test offers a
크로노
glimpse of what we've prepared for Chrono Odyssey. The story will continue to unfold after launch with new regions, classes, and a wide range of content that expands the world and deepens exploration.
확장되며 게임의 세계는 점점 더 넓혀질 것입니다. 크로노 오디세이
We're excited to see stories we create together in Chrono Odyssey.
여러분들만의 이야기를 기대하고 있습니다. 이번 CBT를
Based on your feedback from the CBT, we'll keep improving and refining the experience.
게임을 발전시켜 나갈 계획입니다.
Our goal with Chrono Odyssey is to create a title that has broad global appeal, bringing players together from diverse backgrounds to share an immersive MMORPG experience.
크로노 오디세이 세계에서
We
여러분들을
can't wait for you to step into the world of Chrono Odyssey.
많은 기대 부탁드립니다.
Please look forward to the CBT. We'll see you again soon. All right, I'm going to give my thoughts on all this. All right, so June 2025. So probably towards the end of June this month. And if I am in the CBT, I'll absolutely be playing it. Hopefully they allow me to play it on stream. I think that they have focused very, very hard on building the world of Chrono Odyssey. Canon confirmed CBT will not be subject to NDA. Good. Excellent. If I get chosen. I know that Kakao is currently choosing its partners for its partner program. I did apply for that. Hopefully I get in. But I'll be honest with you. You know, I don't know.
TBH, after watching the vid, I am waiting to see what Archeage is going to come up with, cause combat looked better in their vid than Chrono. Kakao is not doing well in KR at the moment, and during their earnings call they talked about how important Chrono and Archeage release is going to be, so money's hee hee.
Well, you gotta understand that I think that Kakao is publishing the game, but it's Chrono Studio, if I'm correct, that is developing the game. So no, Kakao is just publishing it. And Kakao did publish Black Desert Online for a few years, and they did it relatively poorly. I think that, again, the way that the Black Desert Online players have a very poor impression of Kakao overall because of the way they left the community. Towards the end of their tenure as the publishers of Black Desert Online, they at one point, I believe, threatened to withhold the server data, which would have forced all of us to start over. Again, Russia had this problem too, but it wasn't from Kakao. But ultimately, Kakao ended up relinquishing all of that. And then Kakao decided that they just weren't going to manage the servers anymore, which was extremely frustrating. So we had people, they just stopped answering support tickets. They just stopped answering bugs and exploits and stuff. The servers just kept crashing repeatedly. The final 2 weeks of Kakao publishing BDO was horrendously bad and left an overwhelmingly bad mark for Kakao's name in the West for publishing Korean MMOs. I'm really hoping that Kakao has come a long way in their publishing. And again, the Kakao partner program for Black Desert also didn't offer. Also, I mean, you ask any of the Kakao partners back then, I was never in that group. I was not a content creator at the time. I could only go based on what I heard from the content creators at the time. And also you get gems where the CM team just clearly wasn't playing the game at all and didn't understand the player base, where he's how'd you, somebody in the chat goes, hey, how did you get so much energy? And he just goes, one of the community managers for the game from Kakao goes, dailies. And then the other guy goes, yeah, he swept a lot of chimneys. Sweeping a lot of chimneys. What the f are we talking about? Of course, it's contribution, you goofball. So, I'm hoping that Kakao does a much better job publishing Chrono Odyssey than they did for BDO. In fairness, we've fast forwarded, 6 or 7 years, or at least 5 years at this point. I'm hoping that Kakao's come a long way. I've also heard good things about Chrono Odyssey's monetization. And again, I was sponsored by Kakao recently to do the Valhalla. To play Valhalla, and that's been a pretty wild success so far. That's been pretty good. We've worked well together. I haven't had really any issues with them. We're a little bit skeptical, of course, but again, this is a new studio, and we're hoping that Kakao has done a better job this time. I know that, again, my application particularly is under review for their partner program. You guys know how I am. I'm not currently partnered with PA, but I am sponsored by Amazon Game Studio. Amazon Game Studio and I work together, is supporting me for basically $20,000 US worth of Lucent for the Throne of Liberty community over there, and they do a great job of that. Part of the reason I'm not partnered with Perlibus anymore is because their partner program just isn't super valuable. Overall, they don't support their creators, they don't support their events. I've talked about this many times. Hopefully Kakao does that, but and hopefully I get into that partner program. We'll see what happens, but if I don't, hey, it's up to them. It's totally fine. Hopefully I would hope to I would hope Kakao sees the value in having me as a partner on the team based on what they've seen me do in BDO and particularly again recently in Throne of Liberty. But hey man, it is what it is. A lot of people try to cancel me out there, so maybe listen to it. There's a flagging system you can see in the video, by the way. I have heard that there is confirmed open world. Let's talk about the systems of Chrono a little bit. I've heard that there's confirmed open world PvP in Chrono Odyssey. I have not heard that it's been confirmed that you can do large scale PvP. Nowhere have I heard that and have that confirmed. We can take a look at their Twitter real quick. I think based on this, we've seen that they're taking more of like a New World Aeternum approach, where a lot of the game is going to be like co-op with your party. It's going to be challenging PvE content that forces you to strategize and work together as a group, you know, to take down bosses and do various labyrinths and things like this, which could be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be a lot of fun. But I think that that is a massive disappointment to anyone that was looking at it going, hey, could be the next really big PvP MMO. Because let's be honest, the combat in Chrono Odyssey looks really good. When you see action combat in a game like this, you expect it to like, bro, you add that PvP element because the competitive members of the MMO community want to come in and they want to use that. If there's a really high skill ceiling, like he was talking about in the video here, or in this dev note here, if there's really that high of a skill ceiling, players want to be able to demonstrate that amongst each other. Maybe they don't necessarily always want to have it forced on each other, but like PvP should be an element of a sandbox MMO. So I'm hoping that they included that, right? Will this Steam game be available? So it is actually currently available on Steam. If I open up my Steam right now, but it's like you have to sign up for the closed beta test. I don't know where there it is. So if you type in Chrono, boom, right there, view page. All right, you come down here, there'll be a playtest button. You have to click the playtest. We've registered your access, or you've requested access. Keep an eye out for an email notification on Steam when the developer is ready to accept more participants. So we don't know yet who's been chosen for the CBT. I'm hoping I get to be chosen for it, but we'll see. Let's take a look at their Twitter, as they keep teasing things about the game on the Chrono Odyssey Twitter. Chrono, there it is. All right, let's take a look at the most up-to-date news as of today, because the dev update came out like 10 days ago. I know I'm a little late on it. Most of the time, I'm right on the ball when it comes to Chrono Odyssey news. I am literally on that. You know what I mean? Because it seems like it's going to be an amazing game. Bro, what the... How does Cannon keep doing this? I know how he keeps doing this. Bro, Cannon literally lives like down the street. Because Cannon lives in Korea, he lives right next to the Throne and Liberty offices. He lives next to the BDO offices. He lives next to the Chrono Odyssey offices. So he gets to go and interview the devs. You know what I mean? That's super sick. Super, super sick. Good on him. I am overwhelmingly jealous that he gets to do stuff like this. I don't speak Korean, so even if I lived there, it wouldn't help me very much. But he's just famous. Yeah, I mean, like Cannon, I would say less famous and more that like Cannon takes the initiative where no other Korean streamers really do this. Cannon tries to bridge the gap. He speaks English fluently. He speaks Korean fluently, and he understands how important Korean MMOs are to the West. And so he does a great job of delivering that content to us. Like he's like the bridge, right? He's like that middle ground. So he's really good at that. Really good at that. Even Shroud commented. Yeah, I mean, Shroud played a lot of Throne and Liberty too. So I'm sure that we'll see him in Chrono like this soon. So it looks like the Summer Games Fest is going to have some teaser here. Here we go. Behind the Desk Entry 8. What is this? What do I think the duty of a swordsman is? Protecting Saterra, battling the void, and yes, observing ducks. It's the noblest quest of all, but hey, that's just my opinion. CM Jitty. All right, let me see this. Look at his weapons. Got like dual blades. Long glaives. The graphics look really good. Oh, that did not look super good. The turn on the duck did not look super great, brother. That was cooked. No. That was a little cooked. But you know what? The rest of it looked good. The rest of it looked good. Yeah. Check out the new developer interview. Okay, so they haven't posted anything since then. Yeah, there's the partner program. I did apply for this. Again, I'd love to be in the Cacao partner program. See how it is. Again, because I'm going to be making a lot of content for this game. And when I make content, I try to do it up right, bro. I do like that big event style content. I like to run big things for the community that really gets everybody in the world excited for the game. It's the same in BDO as it is in Throne, but hey, man, I'll run those events regardless of whether or not they are there and I'm in the partner program and them supporting me, as evidenced by BDO. It's happening regardless, but we'll see. Hopefully they pick me, but we'll see. All right, so nothing else new about Chrono Odyssey. I'm curious what people think about it after that dev note. That revealed a lot about the game. I'm genuinely curious what people are saying about it at this point. Take a look at the comment. This looks great. Please don't mess up the monetization. I've heard really good things about the monetization. Like the devs are very, very against pay to win in like a big way. They do not want pay to win in their game. But on the flip side, Perlibus did not feel that there was any pay to win in their game when it released. They said that they were against pay to win too. So there's that. So there's that. I don't know necessarily how it's going to look. I'm less concerned about the monetization, I'll be honest with you. I'm more concerned about what the PvP systems maybe look like. I think that the PvE systems would be amazing too. I'm very excited to explore those. They looked really good. I think they look like they've done a really good job kind of fleshing out the world, the atmosphere, and kind of like making you go explore the world, which is really cool. Finding those Easter eggs and things like this are a really big part of it. Are a really big part of the world, you know? So we'll see though. Please be the MMORPG I've been waiting years for. I hope so too, bro. When Chrono Odyssey, our goal isn't to keep adding systems without due cause. The sentence alone won me. Keep refining the game and let us taste the sweet cosmic horror. Well, we'll see. We'll see about that. I would love to see them add systems with like without due cause. I don't know. It's such an open-ended statement, right? Like I haven't seen anything about fishing. I haven't seen anything about hunting. I haven't seen anything about, there's crafting and gathering, right? Where's the horse training? Where's the mount training systems, right? Like, I don't know. I haven't seen any of that stuff yet, so I'd like to see some of those added, potentially, if it's going to be a sandbox, right? They said fishing at the start. Okay, well, there might be there. What about gooning? I think there's some attractive female characters in there, and most of the time, Korean devs seem to understand it. This is the new world I was expecting in the 2021 release. Yeah, I think it has way better. I think it's going to be way better than New World, that's for sure. In my opinion. Based on what I'm seeing on the surface here, it just looks like it's just going to be objectively better.